Tonight, 6 communities in Region 3 to receive solar-powered streetlights. Durban Street man gets 6 years for property fraud. 5,000 acres of land to be set aside for the cultivation of wheat. In the region, Haiti embroiled in chaos a year since President Moise's killing, and internationally, armed attackers freeze hundreds of inmates in Nigeria's prison raid. Welcome to another broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Updates. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. Thousands of residents from 6 low-income communities in Region 3 would soon benefit from a streetlight installation project under the Adequate Housing and Urban Accessibility Program. Valued at over $25 million, the Adequate Housing and Urban Accessibility Program are executed by the Ministry of Housing and Water through the Central Housing and Planning Authority and funded by the Inter-American Development Bank. The initiative is aimed at improving the quality of life for low-income populations by providing better access to housing and infrastructure, as well as more accessibility and mobility. The communities to receive the streetlights are Schooner, La Parfait, Harmony, Westminster, Underneming, Rech Dorsey, and Lustin Ross. Scope for works include the supply and installation of 80-watt standalone solar integrated streetlights, with the lamp comprising a solar panel, charge controller, and battery. The contract was awarded to N. Sons, Contracting Services and Electrical Supplies, and has been divided into 2 lots. 62 streetlights would be installed at Lot 1 and 60 streetlights at Lot 2. Pole planting is ongoing, and the installation of the streetlights is slated to commence in the coming days. The project is scheduled to last 210 days. A man from Durban Street was found guilty of perpetrating a multi-million-dollar fraud. Esther Sobers has more details.
A man who allegedly committed several counts of fraud in 2018 on June 30th appeared in the Georgetown Magistrate Court and was sentenced to 6 years in prison by Magistrate Dylon Bess. Kevin Rees of Durban Street committed several counts of fraud in 2018 and denied all the charges that were read to him. The court was informed that on August 3, 2018 in Georgetown, Bess acquired $3 million from Clement Glasgow with the intent to deceive by pretending falsely to be the position to sell a property located at 60 Barrymore Avenue, Bel Air Park, Georgetown, while knowing this to be false. Also on August 23, 2018, Bess attempted to deceive a clerk at the Guyana Revenue Authority headquarters by applying for a certificate of land compliance, knowing it was fake. The individual is also charged with fraud once again for defrauding Glasgow out of $250 million by pretending to sell a aforementioned block of land. Intending to fix the false document, Rees submitted a fake application for a certificate of land compliance to GRA head office during the same month. However, it was observed by the GRA officials that the signature on the document was not of the owner of the property, valued at $110 million. The matter was reported to the police and an investigation was conducted. Subsequently, Rees was arrested and charged. Bess was given 4 years for forgery and 2 years for attempting to commit a felony. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. The MV Kanawam, which services the Parika-Supernam route, is back in service after completing 1 month of routine maintenance. The MV Kanawam did a test run over the weekend and has been deemed fit for purpose. This was disclosed by the General Manager of the Transport and Harbour Department, Marceline Marchant. She revealed that the MV Sabanto, which also travels the same route, will now go into dry docks for similar maintenance works. Nevertheless, the MV Malali is expected to continue its support to ensure the smooth movement of people and goods, especially that of farmers who depend on the vessel to support their livelihood. The government has taken steps to accommodate the increased traffic between Parika and Supernam. One of the first things includes implementing an additional daily departure for the route. Also, the 2 boats which service the thousands of persons using the route for business and other purposes work on a touch-and-go basis. This was in response to a direct request from the traveling public. It also provides a critical service for farmers both in Regions 2 and 3 to get their products to various markets. Stick around after the break. 5,000 acres of land to be set aside for the cultivation of wheat. And soon, small businesses training will start in the village of Buxton, according to the Ministries of Tourism and Health.
Traveling soon? Then come into John Lewis Styles on Waterloo Street and let's help you choose the right set of luggage. You can choose to buy 3-piece luggage sets, or separate pieces, but the sets are always a better deal. Either available in soft poly, or ABS hard side material, with 4-wheeled spinners, and in many colors too. Also available are carry-on luggage, computer bags, duffel bags, backpacks, travel pillows, blankets and lots more to make your trip enjoyable. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
They say that when it hits you, it hits you. A feeling so strong that it's impossible not to give in to. A juicy piece of KFC. To feel elevated by the aroma. And to free fall into its exciting flavor. Some call it love, attraction, desire. We call it KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce and the Ministry of Health will soon begin small business training in the community of Buxton and the east coast of the Marara. Ornage Waldron, the Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, made this announcement on Monday while doing a ministerial outreach in the community in response to requests from residents for the training. The training will be held at Tipperary Hall, a prominent cultural hub in the community, according to the minister. The training will provide persons with guidance on how to prepare business proposals, the steps to be taken, and the avenues available for financing.
In GRA, we bring in the NIS officials, we bring in the deeds and commercial registry, because they're the ones that are responsible for registering your business. And all of that we will help facilitate and hold your hand and make sure that you get there. So you don't have to worry about getting all of that done. We will come and help you with that. In another 2 weeks, Minister Anthony will bring in that workshop for us to start developing these small businesses, identifying them, and helping you on with the process.
Minister Waldron said, while the intake of applications at the Small Business Bureau is closed, the workshop will give residents a head start on when it reopens. Meanwhile, Minister Kwame McCoy encouraged the residents of Buxton to take maximum advantage of the free learning courses through the Guyana Online Academy for Learning Scholarship Program, which is currently benefiting some 6,000 Guyanese. He said the government value education and wants citizens to be more advanced educationally.
We value education. We want our people to be more advanced educationally. Your education value means that you have very good training place for the future in terms of your job, in terms of your business, and therefore we want you to do better. And therefore the opportunity of the scholarship, if there's anyone here, any one of you, who would like to pursue the GOLD program and you have applied or intending to apply, you can leave your names and numbers and we will follow up with you.
A sum of $1.3 billion was approved for GOLD in Budget 2022. It is being prudently managed by the Ministries of Education and Public Service. GOLD scholarships are geared at equipping citizens across the country with the knowledge and qualification for self and economic development through courses offered by internationally recognized higher learning institutions. A trial run for the cultivation of potential new cash crop is about to start in Guyana, as the Supers explained.
A total of 5,000 acres of land in Region 9, Upper Takatu, Upper Essequibo, has been set aside for cultivation of wheat. To begin a trial phase, Guyana acquired 49 lines of wheat from the Mexican government back in May. According to the Minister of Agriculture, Zulkifar Mustafa, the initiative will begin here by the end of this month. Following up on what he called an already successful indoor trial, Mustafa said that there are other trials ongoing that utilize wheat from the 49 lines of grain provided by Mexico. The indoor trial, which explored several varieties, was completed at the Burma Rice Station in Maikoni Region 5, Mahika Berbice. Minister Mustafa said he was optimistic that the outdoor trial would be successful. Meanwhile, the Agriculture Minister said Brazil could also be a supplier of wheat, aiding in Guyana trial and production. The grain markets were under pressure due to the worldwide soybeans oil market crash and widespread fund selling. The fear of the global economic slowdown, along with non-threatening weather, is keeping the pressure on the wheat prices. The surge in wheat and other commodity prices is a result of several global factors, including war in Ukraine. Russia and Ukraine accounts for approximately 30% of the world traded wheat. The National Milling Company, Inc., announced an increase in flour of 15% last month. The company claimed the statement that higher costs of packaging, additives, and fuel had caused the price of wheat to rise by 40%. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused economic problems that has been more worse by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which has increased the cost of production globally. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Don't go away after the break. Armed attackers freed hundreds of inmates in Nigeria prison raid. And was Boris Johnson a successful prime minister?
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Traveling soon? Then come into John Lewis Styles on Waterloo Street and let's help you choose the right set of luggage. You can choose to buy 3-piece luggage sets or separate pieces, but the sets are always a better deal. Either available in soft poly or ABS hard side material with 4-wheeled spinners and in many colors too. Also available are carry-on luggage, computer bags, duffel bags, backpacks, travel pillows, blankets and lots more to make your trip enjoyable. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Welcome back. Here now is Esther Sobers with today's regional and international news.
Good evening. Now we'll take a look at news in the region and around the world. It has been a year since Haitian President President Moise was assassinated in his home, and the investigation into it continues. The case has cast a dark shadow over an unstable country embroiled in political and economic crisis and escalating gang violence, as Zero Teresa Bo reports.
Naomi Jean-Louise has been living in this shelter for weeks. She was forced to leave her home when battles between rival gangs took over her neighborhood in Port-au-Prince.
I'm a disabled person and I'm the father and mother of children. The situation I'm living in isn't good at all. Even to go to the doctor's office, I have to go and ask in the street because of the insecurity.
Naomi is among thousands of people who have been displaced by the raging violence across much of Haiti. This is part of the ongoing chaos that has gripped the country ever since President Jovenel Moise was killed last year. Despite dozens of arrests, including a group of Colombian mercenaries, Haiti's investigation has stalled. The acting Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, fired his justice minister and prosecutor last year when they called for him to be investigated in connection with Moise's murder. Henry has denied any involvement in the killing.
Trying the assassination the president is a very difficult thing in any country. In any country, it's major. This is really bad. But in Haiti, with the situation that we have, this is a country really all of our institutions have not been functional, even under Jovenel. The justice system, everything, the police, everything is just not functional.
A parallel investigation in the U.S. has 3 suspects in custody, including a former U.S. government informant who pleaded not guilty on Wednesday and faces life in prison if convicted. The U.S. Department of Justice wants to seal evidence of past crimes by some of the suspects, many who are also informants. Even though Ariel Henry took over the office of Prime Minister and enjoys the support of Western powers, Haitian civil society groups question his authority and are pushing for a transition that will lead to elections that have been repeatedly delayed for 5 years. Haitians are facing an economic crisis that was only made worse by the pandemic and the war in Ukraine. Half of the country is struggling with food insecurity, and rising inflation is making life harder for everyone. Like thousands of others in search of a better life someplace else, Antoine Guerrero was forced back to Haiti after being deported from the United States.
We are imprisoned in our own country because the insecurity makes every single person have a single goal, which is to leave this country. The reason why? It is uninhabitable. I feel like leaving this country again because the situation is very complicated.
So complicated that more Haitians than any time in recent memory are risking everything to escape, believing the situation in their home country will not improve anytime soon. Dede Sabo, Al Jazeera.
Armed attackers have raided a prison near the capital of Nigeria, where residents reported hearing several explosions. The attack happened just hours after the president's security convoy was ambushed. Al Jazeera Fidelis Mob reports.
This is the aftermath of the attack on Kuje Correctional Center on the outskirts of Abuja. Gunmen entered the facility through the back wall of the compound, firing sporadically and detonating explosives.
About 600 inmates escaped, including dozens of suspected Boko Haram fighters. More than 300 have been recaptured or returned voluntarily. The police say the search is on to track down all escapees.
Authorities believe Boko Haram is behind the jailbreak.
They came specifically for their co-conspirators, but in order to get them, some of them are in general population, so they broke out, and other people in that general population escaped as well.
The center holds nearly 1,000 prisoners. After a head count, dozens of suspected members of the armed group were declared missing.
The people who came to do these activities, from the records, we believe that they belong to a particular group, and most likely they are Boko Haram, because we have sizable number of Boko Harams that are in detention, and presently we could not locate any of them.
Security has been beefed up at the prison, but for families in Kuje, the fear remains.
The experience of last night was so bad and was so, scaring. I was far asleep when I heard a sound of gunshots and a bomb blast. Before I could know what was happening, someone just called me that I should make sure that I'm alert, that there's a prison break.
The attack adds to mounting insecurity in the West African country, which is battling armed groups in the north and sectarian violence in the south. Fidelis Mba, Al Jazeera, Abuja.
And finally, Boris Johnson has resigned as the United Kingdom Prime Minister after an avalanche of resignation from the members of his government. Al Jazeera Jonah Hall has more.
Vote for us
He led his party to a landslide election victory in 2019, but Boris Johnson was to be undone, both by events in which he conspired and also by his own character flaws that critics say made him unfit for high office.
Boris Johnson has no social vision. There is no moral leadership. But for him, it was always about becoming Prime Minister, not about being Prime Minister. And I think he knows himself well enough that he knows that he does not have the skills that you need to be a successful Prime Minister.
Sonia Purnell was a reporter working alongside Johnson in the Brussels bureau of the Daily Telegraph. She describes a man with a lot of the child in him, who enjoyed getting into and out of scrapes, a man drawn to chaos.
And the chaos means that he can sort of emerge through all these things going wrong, all this noise, all this commotion, as the person with the great idea or the witticism. And that is what appeals to him.
For Boris Johnson, the coronavirus pandemic was a perfect storm of crises and chaos that blew attention away from other problems. Despite his promise to get Brexit done, Britain remains mired in dispute with its biggest trading partner, the European Union. The economy is underperforming, the cost of living rising, health and education systems faltering. Success with the vaccine programme helped obscure Johnson's own indecision and delays in following scientific advice that contributed to one of the highest death tolls in the developed world. Former Chief Advisor Dominic Cummings described the Prime Minister's leadership as erratic, indecisive, distracted.
Nobody could find a way around the problem of the Prime Minister just like a shopping trolley smashing from one side of the aisle into the other.
The shopping trolley metaphor would quickly be seized upon by the opposition.
So he's doing what he always does, crashing over to the other side of the aisle.
Boris Johnson learned early to be self-sufficient in a family of competitive siblings, with a mother who suffered ill health and a father who was frequently absent. At the elite British boarding school Eton, he came to believe ordinary rules did not apply to him. In the infamous Bullingdon Drinking Club at Oxford, the outward persona of a jovial buffoon disguised an inner ambition for power. And as both a journalist for the Times newspaper and a minister in opposition, Johnson was accused of lying and fired. These, then, were the qualities he brought to politics, as Mayor of London, as Foreign Secretary, and then as Prime Minister. Entitlement, dishonesty, and indifference.
This is really the first time in his life where he's ever actually been held to account for anything. He's always been indulged, he's always been excused, there's always been reasons made for him for his bad behaviour.
There was wide support for his handling of the war in Ukraine, but Johnson never recovered from the scandal known as Partygate. He received a police fine for attending a lockdown party in Downing Street, making him the first British Prime Minister to break the law while in office. A civil service report into a string of similar gatherings described a failure of leadership. Eventually, 148 of his own MPs, 40% of the parliamentary party, turned against him in a vote of no confidence. Boris Johnson limped on for a bit, but the reasons to forgive him had run out. Jonah Hull, Al Jazeera.
Thanks, Esther. Here's the 3-day weather forecast. That is all for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. Tune in on Friday at 5:30 p.m. for another episode. Make sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.